Was tired. He was always tired these days, but today was worse than usual. The reactor at the Starship maintenance facility had broken down again, and his boss had sent everyone home early. Normally, would have been happy about getting free time, but today, all he could think about was his bed and maybe a hot shower. The year was 2147, and Earth had changed a lot since the first alien contact 50 years ago. Now, humans and aliens lived together in special housing complexes. The government called it the Galactic Integration Program, called it learning to live with strange roommates. His roommate was an alien named. She was which meant she looked almost human but not quite. Her skin was silver blue and changed colors depending on her mood. When she was calm, it was a soft blue like the ocean. When she was annoyed, it turned darker, almost purple. Had learned to read those colors over the past 6 months of living together. But even after 6 months, he barely knew anything about her, was quiet and private. She kept her door closed most of the time. She was polite but distant, like a you only see in the elevator. Had tried to make conversation a few times, but always gave short answers and then returned to her room. He had stopped trying after the first month. Walked into their shared apartment and dropped his bag on the floor. The place was small but clean. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living room that could barely fit a couch and a screen. It was not fancy, but it was home. He kicked off his shoes and walked toward the bathroom. His mind was somewhere else, thinking about the broken reactor and whether his boss would blame him for it tomorrow. He did not notice that the bathroom light was on. He did not hear the soft humming sound coming from inside. He just pushed the door open and walked in. And then he froze. Was standing in the middle of the bathroom, but she did not look like the he knew. Her silver blue skin was peeling away in large sections, revealing something underneath that glowed with soft light. It was like watching a snake shed its skin, but stranger and more beautiful. The patterns under her skin pulsed with colors he had never seen before, blues and purples and whites that moved like living things. Could not move. He could not speak. His brain was trying to understand what he was seeing, but nothing made sense. Turned her head slowly and looked at him. Her eyes were different too, brighter than usual, almost glowing. For a moment, expected her to scream at him. He expected her to throw something at his head and tell him to get out. That is what any normal person would do if someone walked in on them during something so private. But did not scream. She did not look angry at all. Instead, she looked scared. Her skin flickered with colors that had never seen before, dark reds and grays that seemed wrong somehow. And then she spoke, and her voice was shaking. She said, "I need your help, please." Blinked, his brain was still trying to catch up with what was happening. "What?" "Please," said again. Her voice cracked and realized with shock that she sounded like she was about to cry. "Something is wrong. I cannot do this alone." Finally found his voice. I am sorry, I did not know you were in here. I should have knocked. I will just go in." "No," his voice was sharp, desperate. She reached out one hand toward him and he could see that her fingers were trembling. "Please do not leave. I know this is strange. I know you do not understand, but I need help and you are the only one here." Stood very still. His heart was beating fast and he could feel sweat on his palms. This was not how he had expected his evening to go. He had just wanted a shower and maybe some instant noodles. Instead, he was standing in a bathroom watching his alien roommate go through something he could not even name. But there was something in his eyes that made him stay. She looked terrified, not of him but of something else, something that was happening to her own body. "Okay," said slowly. "Okay, I am not leaving, just tell me what is happening." Let out a breath that sounded like relief. "It is called shedding. All go through it every few months. We shed our outer skin and grow a new one underneath. It is supposed to be natural, simple, but something has gone wrong." She turned slightly and could see her back. There was a large section near her shoulder where the old skin was not peeling away cleanly. Instead, It looked stuck, fused to the new skin underneath. The area around it was dark and angry-looking. "The old skin is attached to the new skin," explained. Her voice was strained. "It is not separating like it should. If I cannot remove it in the next few hours, the tissue will die, and if that happens—" She did not finish the sentence but understood. If that happened, she would be in serious trouble, maybe even die. "Why did this happen?" asked. He took a careful step closer, looking at the problem area. He was an engineer. He fixed things for a living. Maybe he could fix this too. "Earth's air," said. "It is different from my home world. I have been here for 2 years, and I think it has changed my biology slowly. This has never happened to me before." "Can you call someone, a doctor, other?" Shook her head. "The nearest medical center is 3 hours away. I do not have that much time, and besides—" She paused, and her skin flushed with a color that thought might be embarrassment. "Shedding is very private for my people. Only close family is allowed to see it, to help with it. It is considered intimate, sacred." Felt his face grow hot. "Oh, I see, and I just walked in on you doing this. I am really sorry." "It does not matter now," said quickly. "What matters is that I need help and you are here. I have no family on Earth, no friends. I have been alone since I arrived." Those words hit harder than he expected. He had always assumed that was private by choice, that she had friends somewhere, a community, people who understood her. But she had been alone this whole time, just like him in a way. Took a deep breath and made a decision. "Tell me what to do." Stared at him, her eyes were wide with surprise. You will help me, even though you do not know me, even though this is strange to you." "You are my roommate," said simply. "And you are in trouble, of course I will help." For a moment, just looked at him. Her skin shifted through several colors that could not read, too fast and too mixed for him to understand. Then she reached toward a small shelf near the sink and picked up a curved tool that looked like a combination of a knife and a spoon. "Take this," she said, handing it to him. "I will guide your hands. You need to carefully separate the old skin from the new skin without damaging either layer. It requires patience and a steady hand." Took the tool. It was lighter than he expected, made of some material he did not recognize. "I fix starship engines for a living," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Patience and steady hands are kind of my thing." Almost smiled. Almost. Then maybe I chose the right person to walk through that door. She turned her back to him and pulled her hair aside, revealing the problem area clearly. Up close, could see how serious it was. The fused section was about the size of his hand, and the skin around it was turning dark. "Start at the edges," instructed. "Work slowly. If you feel resistance, stop and try a different angle." Nodded and positioned the tool at the edge of the fused area. His hands were steady, just like when he worked on delicate machinery. He had done this 1,000 times before, just never on a living being, never on someone who was counting on him to save their life. He took a breath and began to work. The next few hours were some of the most intense of his life. Guided him with quiet instructions, telling him when to push harder and when to ease off. The work was slow and careful. Every small section he freed felt like a tiny victory. As he worked, noticed something strange. Skin was beginning to glow brighter underneath. The patterns he had seen before were becoming clearer, more beautiful. It was like watching a painting come to life. "You are not afraid," said suddenly. Her voice was soft, almost wondering. Paused for a moment. "Should I be?" Most species are afraid of things they do not understand. The galaxy has many stories about how humans react to alien biology. They say you panic easily, that you are disgusted by things that are different. Thought about this for a moment, then continued his careful work. Maybe some humans are like that, but I have always believed that everything makes sense once you understand how it works. You are not strange to me, you are just different, and different is not bad. Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. "You are not what I expected." He did not know what to say to that, so he just kept working. And as the last piece of fused skin finally came free, he heard let out a long, shaky breath of relief. "It is done," she said. "You did it." Put down the tool and stepped back. He was exhausted, his hands were cramping, and his back hurt from bending over for so long. But when turned around and looked at him with gratitude in her glowing eyes, he knew it had been worth it. "Thank you," she said. The words were simple, but they carried a weight that could feel in his chest. "You are welcome," he replied, and for the first time in 6 months his alien roommate smiled at him. It was a real smile, warm and genuine, and realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something different, something better. He had walked into the bathroom expecting a shower. Instead, he had found something unexpected. A friend. The bathroom was silent except for the soft hum of the lights above. Stood with the curved tool still warm in his hand, watching as slowly turned to face him. Her new skin was unlike anything he had ever seen. It glowed with soft bioluminescent patterns that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat made of light. She looked exhausted. Her legs were shaking and could see that she was struggling to stay standing. Without thinking, he stepped forward and offered his arm. "You should sit down," he said. "You look like you are about to fall over." Hesitated for just a moment, then took his arm. Her hand was warm against his skin, warmer than he expected. Together, they walked slowly out of the bathroom and into the small living room. Helped her sit down on the couch, then grabbed a blanket from the closet and draped it over her shoulders. "I will get you some water," he said. Did not answer. She just watched him with those glowing eyes as he walked to the kitchen and filled a glass. When he came back and handed it to her, she took it with both hands like it was something precious. "Thank you," she said softly. Sat down on the other end of the couch, giving her space. He was not sure what to say. The past few hours had been intense and strange, and his brain was still trying to process everything that had happened. He had helped his alien roommate shed her skin. That was not something he had ever imagined doing when he signed up for the Galactic Integration Program. "How are you feeling?" he asked finally. Took a small sip of water before answering. "Tired, very tired, but alive, thanks to you." "I am glad I could help." Paused, then added, "I am sorry again for walking in on you like that. I should have knocked. I was not thinking." "It does not matter anymore," said. "If you had not walked in, I would have been alone. I do not know what would have happened then." The thought made uncomfortable. He imagined alone in that bathroom, struggling with something that was slowly killing her, with no one to help. It was a terrible image. "You said you have been alone since you came to Earth," said carefully. "Why, I mean there are other here. I have seen them at the cultural center downtown." Was quiet for a long moment. The patterns on her skin shifted slowly, moving through shades of blue and purple. Had started to understand that these colors meant something, but he did not know exactly what. "I am not like other," she said finally. "I came here on my own choice, not because the government sent me. Most on Earth are diplomats or scientists or military observers. They have missions. They have purpose. I just wanted to understand." "Understand what?" "Humans." Looked at him directly and felt a strange shiver run down his spine. "My people have many opinions about your species. Most of them are not good. They say humans are dangerous, unpredictable, aggressive. They say you cannot be trusted." Frowned. "That seems a bit harsh." "It is based on history," explained. 50 years ago, when first contact happened, humans reacted with fear. There were attacks on alien visitors, protests, violence. The galaxy watched and decided that humans were a threat. "But things have changed since then," said. "We have the integration program now. Humans and aliens live together peacefully." "Yes, but old opinions are hard to change. Many species still believe that humans are just waiting for the right moment to show their true nature, that all this peace is just an act. Did not know how to respond to that. He thought about the humans he knew, his neighbors, his family. They were not perfect, but they were not monsters either. They were just people trying to live their lives. "So you came here to see if the opinions were true?" he asked. Nodded. "I wanted to observe humans in their natural environment, to live among them and see for myself what they were really like. That is why I requested a human roommate." Blinked. "Wait, you requested me specifically?" "Not you specifically, just a human. The housing program assigned us together." Skin flushed with a color that now recognized as embarrassment. "I know it sounds strange. I was studying you in a way, watching how you lived, how you acted, what you did when you thought no one was looking." "That is actually kind of creepy," said honestly. To his surprise, laughed. It was a soft sound, tired but genuine. "Yes, I suppose it is. I apologize for that." "It is okay. I guess I understand why you did it." Leaned back on the couch and looked up at the ceiling. "So what did you learn? After 6 months of watching me eat instant noodles and fall asleep in front of the screen." Was quiet again, and this time the silence stretched longer. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, softer, more vulnerable. "I learned that you are kind," she said. "You always clean up after yourself in the kitchen. You never touch my things without asking. When the old woman on the third floor dropped her groceries last month, you helped her carry them even though you were already late for work." Felt his face grow warm. He had not realized she had noticed those things. "I learned that you are patient," continued. "You spend hours fixing small problems at work that others would give up on. You do not get angry easily. You do not raise your voice." "That is just normal stuff," said, feeling uncomfortable with the praise. "No," said firmly. "It is not normal, not in the galaxy. Most species are quick to anger, quick to violence, quick to protect themselves at the cost of others. But you are different. Tonight proved that." She turned to face him fully and saw that her eyes were wet. Were those tears? Could cry. "You walked into a situation that should have terrified you," said. "You saw something strange and unknown, something that could have been dangerous for all you knew. But instead of running away, you asked how you could help. You touched my skin without fear or disgust. You spent hours doing careful, difficult work to save the life of someone you barely know." Did not know what to say. He had not thought of it that way. He had just done what seemed right. "In culture," continued, "what you did tonight means something very important. Shedding is sacred, private, intimate. To help someone through their shedding is to form a bond that cannot be broken. It is like—" She paused, searching for the right words. "It is like becoming family." His heart skipped a beat. Family. "Yes, among my people you would now be considered my brother or my closest friend, someone I can trust with my life." Skin glowed brighter for a moment, pulsing with warm colors. "I know that is a lot to put on you. You were just being kind. You did not know what it meant, but I wanted you to understand." Sat with that information for a moment. It was a lot to take in. He had gone from barely knowing his roommate to being considered family in one strange evening. But somehow it did not feel wrong. It felt right. "I do not know much about culture," said slowly, "and I definitely did not know what I was getting into tonight, but I am glad I could help. And if you consider me family now, then I guess I am honored." Stared at him like she could not believe what she was hearing. "You accept it just like that?" "Why not?" Shrugged. "Family is not just about blood or species. It is about the people who are there for you when you need them. You needed someone tonight and I was there. That is what family does." For a long moment just looked at him. Then very slowly she smiled. It was a real smile, wide and warm, and it transformed her whole face. Realized that she was beautiful. He had always known she was pretty in an alien way, but now, with her new skin glowing and her eyes bright with emotion, she was truly beautiful. The galaxy has underestimated your kind, said softly. They call humans aggressive and dangerous, but they do not see this side of you. The kindness, the willingness to help strangers, the ability to accept what is different. Maybe we just need better PR, joked. Laughed again, and this time it was stronger. Maybe you do. They sat together in comfortable silence for a while, finished her water and set the glass down on the small table beside the couch. Outside, the city lights sparkled through the window, a mix of human and alien technology creating a rainbow of colors against the night sky. "Can I ask you something?" said eventually. "Of course." "What happens now? With your shedding, I mean. Are you okay? Do you need to see a doctor or something?" Shook her head. "The shedding is complete. My new skin is healthy. I will be tired for a few days, but I will recover, thanks to you." "Good, that is good." Hesitated, then asked the question that had been bothering him. "And what about us? I mean, we have been living together for 6 months and we barely talked before tonight. Is that going to change?" Considered the question carefully. "I would like it to change," she said finally. "I have spent too long observing from a distance, watching but not participating, I think. I think it is time I actually got to know you, not as a research subject but as a person, as family." Smiled. "I would like that too." "Good," pulled the blanket around her shoulders and yawned. "But right now I am very tired. I think I need to sleep." "Of course," stood up and offered her his hand. "Let me help you to your room." Took his hand and let him pull her to her feet. They walked together to her bedroom door, and she paused before going inside. "Yes. Thank you, not just for saving my life. Thank you for showing me that the galaxy was wrong about humans." Before he could respond, she leaned forward and did something that surprised him. She pressed her forehead gently against his, just for a moment. Her skin was warm and soft, and he could feel a faint tingling where they touched. "That is how say thank you to family," she explained quietly. Then she stepped back and smiled at him one more time. "Good night." "Good night." She closed the door and stood alone in the hallway. His heart was beating fast, and he felt strange, like something fundamental had shifted in his world. He walked back to the living room and sat down on the couch where he had been sitting. The cushion was still warm from her body, and there was a faint glow left behind on the fabric, traces of her bioluminescent skin. Looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of aliens believed that humans were dangerous and untrustworthy. They thought humanity was a threat to the galaxy. But tonight, one alien had learned something different. And maybe, just maybe, that was the beginning of something bigger than either of them could imagine. Smiled to himself and finally went to take that shower he had wanted hours ago. As the hot water ran over him, he thought about the strange turn his life had taken. He had walked into his apartment expecting a quiet evening alone. Instead, he had gained something unexpected. A friend, a family member, a new understanding of what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of strangers. And somehow, it felt like exactly what he had been missing all along. The days after that strange night were different. Everything was different. Before and had been like two strangers sharing the same space. They passed each other in the hallway without speaking. They ate their meals at different times. They lived separate lives under the same roof. But now something had changed. It started small. The morning after the shedding, woke up to find in the kitchen, cooking something that smelled strange but not unpleasant. She looked up when he walked in and smiled at him. "Good morning," she said. "I made breakfast. I thought you might be hungry after last night." Sat down at the small table and watched as she placed a plate in front of him. The food was unfamiliar, some kind of grain mixed with vegetables and a sauce that glowed faintly blue. "Is this food?" he asked. "Yes, it is called. It is what we eat after a shedding to help recover our strength. I thought you might like to try it." Picked up his fork and took a careful bite. The taste was surprising, sweet and savory at the same time, with a slight tingling sensation on his tongue. "This is actually really good," he said. Skin flushed with a warm pink color that was learning meant happiness. "I am glad you like it." They ate together in comfortable silence, and when they finished, washed the dishes while dried them. It was such a simple thing, but it felt important, like the beginning of something new. Over the next few weeks, began to open up more and more. She told about her home world, a planet called that orbited a binary star system. She described the vast oceans that covered most of the surface and the floating cities where her people lived. "We do not have solid ground like you do on Earth," she explained one evening as they sat on the couch together. "Everything is built on platforms that float on the water. When I first came here and felt solid earth under my feet, I was terrified. I thought I would fall through." Laughed at the image. "That must have been quite a shock." "It was, but I have gotten used to it now. There are many things about Earth that I have learned to appreciate." She told him about customs, their music that was based on the sounds of waves, their art that was created using bioluminescent pigments. She taught him simple phrases in her language, sounds that clicked and hummed in ways that human throats were not designed to make. In return, told her about his own life. He explained how he had grown up in a small town outside Seoul, how he had always been fascinated with machines and how things worked. He told her about his parents, who still lived in that small town and who called him every Sunday to make sure he was eating enough. "They sound nice," said. "They are. They were worried when I told them I was going to live with an alien roommate, but I think they would like you." Skin glowed brighter for a moment. "You think so?" "Definitely. My mom loves anyone who can cook, and my dad would probably spend hours asking you questions about." Laughed. It was a sound had grown to enjoy hearing. She did not laugh often, but when she did, it was genuine and warm. One evening, about a month after the shedding incident, they were watching a movie together. It was a human film, some comedy from the early 2100s that had seen a dozen times. Watched with fascination, occasionally stopping to ask questions about things she did not understand. "Why are they throwing food at each other?" she asked during one scene. "It is a food fight," explained. "It is supposed to be funny. But that is such a waste of food." "That is actually a good point. I never thought about it that way." The movie ended and was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised him. "Can I tell you something? Something I have never told anyone on Earth." He turned to look at her. Her skin was shifting through uncertain colors, blues and grays mixing together. She looked nervous. "Of course," he said, "you can tell me anything." Took a deep breath. "When I came to Earth, I was given a mission. Not officially, not on paper, but understood. The government wanted me to study humans, to learn about their weaknesses, their patterns, their potential threats." Felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "You were spying on us." "Not exactly spying, observing, documenting. They wanted to know if humans were truly as dangerous as the stories said, if they were a threat to galactic peace." "And what did you find?" Looked at him directly, her eyes bright in the dim light of the living room. "I found that the stories were wrong. Humans are not perfect. You have flaws like any species, but you are not the monsters that the galaxy believes you to be." She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. Her reflection glowed faintly in the glass. "I have been sending reports back to every month since I arrived," she continued. "They wanted data, evidence, proof that humans could not be trusted." "And what did you send them?" Turned to face him. "Nothing useful. I sent them observations about human behavior, but I did not interpret them the way they wanted. I wrote about the kindness I saw, the cooperation, the way humans help strangers without expecting anything in return. My superiors were not pleased. Did not know how to feel. Part of him was angry that she had been observing him, judging him, for all these months. But another part of him understood. She had been caught between two worlds, trying to find the truth in a galaxy full of fear and prejudice. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because I do not want secrets between us anymore," said simply. "You saved my life. You accepted me as family. The least I can give you is honesty." She walked back to the couch and sat down next to him, closer than before. Her skin was pulsing with soft blue light, steady and calm. "The galaxy is afraid of humans," she said. "They have been afraid for 50 years, but I think the fear is based on misunderstanding. Your species is young. You are still learning how to exist in a universe full of other beings, but you are not evil. You are not a threat." "Try telling that to the government," said with a small smile. "I intend to." His voice was serious. "My next report is due in 2 weeks, and I am going to tell them the truth. The real truth, not what they want to hear." Frowned. "Will that not get you in trouble?" "Possibly, probably. My superiors do not like having their assumptions challenged." Shrugged, a gesture she had picked up from living with. "But I do not care anymore. I came here looking for the truth and I found it. I am not going to lie about what I discovered." Was quiet for a moment, thinking about what she had said. Then he reached out and took her hand. Her skin was warm and soft, and he could feel the faint pulse of her bioluminescence against his palm. "I am proud of you," he said. "That takes courage." Looked at their joined hands, then at his face. Her skin flushed with that warm pink color again. "You are strange, do you know that?" "I have been told. Among my people we do not touch casually. Physical contact is reserved for close family or," she paused, her skin shifting to a deeper shade of pink, "or for something more." Felt his own face grow warm. "Oh, I am sorry. I did not mean to make you uncomfortable." He started to pull his hand away, but held on. "I did not say I was uncomfortable." They sat there for a long moment, hands joined, looking at each other. Something unspoken passed between them, something that did not quite understand but felt deeply. "The galaxy thinks humans are dangerous because they do not understand you," said softly. "They see your emotions as weakness, your compassion as a trick, your kindness as a trap. But I think those are the very things that make you strong." "What do you mean?" "In the galaxy, most species operate on logic, cold calculation. They help others only when it benefits them. But humans are different. You help because you care. You sacrifice for strangers. You feel pain when others suffer, even if you do not know them." Squeezed his hand gently. "That is not weakness. That is power. The ability to connect with others, to form bonds across differences, to put others before yourself. That is something most species cannot do." Thought about this. He had never considered human emotions to be a strength. If anything, he had always thought of them as a complication, something that got in the way of clear thinking. But hearing describe them this way made him see things differently. Maybe there was power in compassion. Maybe there was strength in kindness. "You make us sound better than we are," he said finally. "No," replied. "I just see you clearly, for the first time without the prejudice and fear that the galaxy has taught me, and what I see is beautiful." She said the words so simply, so honestly, that felt something shift in his chest. He did not know if it was his heart or something deeper, but he knew that this moment was important. He said slowly, "What happens after you send your report? What happens to you?" "I do not know," she admitted. "They might recall me too. They might send someone to replace me, or they might just ignore what I say and continue believing what they want to believe." "And us, what happens to us?" Skin glowed brighter, and her eyes met his. "I would like to think that we will continue. Whatever happens with my government, I do not want to lose what we have. You are the first person in a long time who has made me feel like I belong somewhere." Smiled and squeezed her hand. "You do belong here with me. Whatever happens, we will figure it out together." Smiled back, and in that moment, the distance between their worlds seemed to disappear. They were not human and alien anymore. They were just two people who had found something precious in each other. Outside the window, the stars shone bright and cold, a reminder of the vast universe beyond their small apartment. But inside, it was warm. And for the first time in a very long time, neither of them felt alone. The weeks that followed were the happiest could remember. His apartment, which had once felt empty and lonely, now felt like a home. His presence filled every corner, from the strange spices that lined the kitchen shelves to the soft glow of her bioluminescent skin that lit up the hallway at night. They had fallen into a comfortable routine. In the mornings, would cook breakfast while made coffee. He had discovered that she loved coffee, a fact that amused him greatly since caffeine was apparently unknown on. "This drink is magical," had said the first time she tried it. Her skin had flushed with bright, excited colors, and her eyes had gone wide. "Why did you not tell me about this sooner?" "I did not know you would like it," had replied, laughing. Now she had 2 cups every morning and was working on becoming an expert in different brewing methods. It was strangely endearing to watch an alien take notes on the difference between pour-over and French press. In the evenings, they would sit together and share stories. Introduced to human traditions that he had taken for granted his whole life. He showed her how to make from a packet, the ultimate human comfort food. He taught her about convenience stores and the joy of wandering their aisles at 2 in the morning looking for snacks. "You do this for fun?" asked skeptically as they walked through a brightly lit store at midnight. "It is an experience," explained, picking up a bag of chips. "Sometimes the best moments in life are the ones that have no purpose." Considered this philosophy carefully. Among every action was supposed to have meaning. Wasting time was considered almost sinful, but she was beginning to understand that humans saw things differently. "Your species is very strange," she said finally. "I know, that is what makes us interesting." He also introduced her to the concept of doing nothing. One Saturday, declared that they would spend the entire day on the couch, watching movies and eating snacks. Was horrified at first. "But we should be productive," she protested. "There are things to accomplish, goals to achieve." "The goal today is relaxation," said firmly, pushing her gently onto the couch. "Trust me, it is important." By the end of the day, was wrapped in a blanket, surrounded by empty snack bags, and completely converted to the human religion of laziness. "I understand now," she mumbled, half asleep. "This is wonderful." At work, colleagues noticed the change in him. He smiled more. He hummed while he worked. He even started bringing extra food to share at lunch. His friend was the first to comment on it. She was a fellow engineer, sharp-tongued and observant. They had worked together for 3 years, and she knew him well. "Okay, spill it," she said one day, cornering him in the break room. "Who is she?" Nearly choked on his coffee. "What, who is who?" "The person who has turned you from a grumpy loner into," she gestured at him. "This, whatever this is, you are practically glowing." "I am not glowing." "You are metaphorically glowing, which is worse. So tell me, who is she, or he, or they? I do not judge." Hesitated. He had not told anyone about the change in his relationship with. It felt too new, too fragile to share. But was his friend, and she was staring at him with an intensity that made it clear she would not let this go. "It is my roommate," he admitted finally. His eyebrows shot up. "The alien, the quiet one you said never talks to you." "Things have changed." Clearly, leaned back and studied him. "So what happened? Did she finally decide to acknowledge your existence?" Thought about how to explain it without going into too much detail. "There was an incident, she needed help, and I was there. After that, we started talking more, getting to know each other. And now you have that look." "What look?" "The look of someone who is falling in love." His face turned red. "I am not, we are not, it is complicated." Grinned, "It always is. But I am happy for you, you deserve someone who makes you smile like that." The conversation stayed with for the rest of the day. Was he falling in love with? He had never thought about it in those terms. She was his friend, his family in the strange sense. But there was something more there, something he could not quite name. When he got home that evening, was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her data pad with a troubled expression. Her skin was cycling through gray and dark blue colors that now knew meant worry. "What is wrong?" he asked, sitting down across from her. Looked up. "I received a message from the embassy. They are not happy with my reports." Felt a chill run down his spine. What did they say? "They said my observations are insufficient. They want more data on human weaknesses, more evidence of your species' dangerous nature." She shook her head slowly. "I have been sending them the truth, but the truth is not what they want to hear." "What are you going to do?" "I do not know. I cannot lie. I will not lie. But if I continue telling them things they do not want to hear." She trailed off, and her skin flickered with anxious colors. Reached across the table and took her hand. It had become natural now, this simple gesture of comfort. "Whatever happens, I am here. We will figure it out together." Looked at their joined hands, then at his face. Some of the worry faded from her expression. "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "Make me feel like everything will be okay, even when I know it might not be." Shrugged. "I do not know, I just believe it. And sometimes believing is enough." They sat together in silence for a while, drawing strength from each other's presence. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Then's data pad beeped with another message. She looked at it, and her expression grew even more troubled. "What is it?" asked. "They are sending someone," said quietly. "An observer. Her name is Counselor. She is coming to Earth to evaluate my work personally." "When?" "Tomorrow." Felt his stomach drop. That soon? They must be serious. "They are. Counselor is not someone who makes casual visits. She is high-ranking, influential, and known for her strong opinions about humans." "Strong opinions meaning she does not like us." "Strong opinions meaning she believes humans are dangerous primitives who should be isolated from the rest of the galaxy." His voice was bitter. "She has been pushing for sanctions against Earth for years." Process this information. Tomorrow, someone who hated humans was coming to judge work, and if she did not like what she found, could be in serious trouble. "What do you want to do?" he asked. Was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at him with determination in her eyes. "I want to tell the truth. Whatever happens, whatever Counselor thinks, I will not change my findings. Humans are not the threat the galaxy fears. You proved that to me, and I will not pretend otherwise." Smiled. "That is very brave. Or very stupid. Time will tell." But there was a small smile on her face too, and her skin was shifting to warmer colors. "Either way, I am proud of you," said, "and I will be right here beside you. If this Counselor wants to see what humans are really like, I will be happy to show her." Squeezed his hand. "Thank you. I do not know what I would do without you." "You will never have to find out." They spent the rest of the evening preparing. Reviewed her reports, making sure everything was in order. Cleaned the apartment until it sparkled. It was nervous energy, both of them needing something to do with their hands. Late that night, they sat on the couch together, too anxious to sleep. Leaned against his shoulder, and he could feel the warmth of her skin through his shirt. "Whatever happens tomorrow," she said softly, "I want you to know something." "What?" "Coming to Earth was the best decision I ever made. Not because of what I learned about humans in general, but because of what I learned about one human in particular." She looked up at him, her eyes glowing softly in the dark. "You changed everything for me, everything." Felt his heart swell with emotion. He wanted to say something meaningful, something that would match the importance of her words, but all he could manage was a simple truth. "You changed everything for me too." Smiled and closed her eyes, pressing closer to him. Within minutes, Her breathing became slow and steady as she fell asleep against his shoulder. Stayed awake a while longer, watching the stars through the window and thinking about tomorrow. A powerful alien counselor was coming to judge them. The stakes were higher than he had ever faced. But somehow, with beside him, he was not afraid. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Counselor arrived at exactly 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not a minute early, not a minute late. Had taken the day off work to be there, and he was glad he did. The moment the door opened, he understood why had been so worried. Was tall, even for a. Her skin was a deep, cold blue that did not shift or change like did. It was like looking at a statue made of ice. Her eyes were sharp and calculating, and they swept over the apartment with obvious disapproval. "So this is where you have been living," said. Her voice was cold and precise, each word carefully measured. "Among them." Stood straight, her posture formal. "Yes, counselor, this is my assigned residence." His gaze moved too, and he felt like a specimen under a microscope. She looked at him the way someone might look at a bug they were considering stepping on. "And this is the human," she said. It was not a question. "His name is," said firmly. "He is my roommate." "I know what he is." Walked further into the apartment, her long fingers trailing over the furniture as if checking for dirt. "I have read your reports, all of them. They are disappointing." "I wrote the truth," said. "You wrote what you believed to be the truth, but your judgment has clearly been compromised." Turned to face her, and her expression was one of barely concealed contempt. "You came here to study a potentially dangerous species. Instead, you have been playing house with one of them." Felt anger rise in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. This was fight, not his. At least not yet. "My judgment is not compromised," said. Her voice was steady, but could see her skin flickering with stress colors. "I have observed humans for over 2 years. I have lived among them, worked with them, formed relationships with them, and everything I have learned tells me that they are not the threat the Council believes. The Council has centuries of data that say otherwise. The Council has centuries of fear and prejudice. That is not the same as data." The room went very quiet, held his breath. He had never heard speak to anyone with such boldness. His eyes narrowed. "You dare to challenge the Council's wisdom." "I dare to tell the truth." Skin was glowing brighter now, shifting through determined colors. "Humans are not perfect. They have flaws like any species, but they are not monsters. They are not the threat that we have been taught to fear." "And what makes you so certain?" Voice was like ice. "What evidence do you have that contradicts generations of observation?" Gestured toward this human, this one man. "He has shown me more kindness in 6 months than I experienced in years on. When I was vulnerable and dying, he helped me without hesitation. He did not know me. He had no reason to care, but he did anyway." Looked at again, her expression skeptical. "One anomaly does not disprove a pattern." "He is not an anomaly." Stepped closer to the counselor, her voice growing stronger. "He is an example of what humans are capable of when they are given the chance. They are not driven by cold logic like we are. They are driven by emotion, by compassion, by the desire to connect with others. And that makes them different from us, not dangerous." Was silent for a long moment. Then she shook her head slowly. "You have been compromised. Living with this creature has clouded your thinking. You see what you want to see, not what is really there." She turned too, and her contempt was now fully visible. "Look at him," she said. "Fragile, short-lived, emotional. His species has barely crawled out of their planetary cradle, and already they believe they deserve a place among the stars. They are children playing with forces they do not understand." Had been silent throughout the confrontation, letting take the lead. But something about words ignited a fire in him. She was not just insulting him. She was insulting all of humanity. Everything they had achieved, everything they had overcome. He stepped forward. "You are right," he said. blinked, clearly not expecting agreement. "I beg your pardon." "You are right about us," continued. His voice was calm but firm. "We are fragile, our bodies break easily, we get sick, we age, we die. You are right about that." Tilted her head, studying him with new interest. "We are short-lived," went on. 100 years if we are lucky, a blink of an eye compared to your species. You are right about that too. Then you admit your inferiority." "No," met her gaze directly, without fear. "I admit our reality, but here is what you do not understand. Our fragility is not weakness. It is why we learn to heal each other. It is why we developed medicine and science and technology. Because we are breakable, we learn to fix what is broken." Said nothing, but her eyes had narrowed slightly. "Our short lives are not a curse, they are a gift." His voice grew stronger. "Because we do not have forever, we do not waste time on fear. We take risks. We try new things. We reach for the stars even when we are not sure we can survive the journey. Every generation of humans has done more than the one before because we know our time is limited." "And our emotions," smiled slightly. "Yes, we are emotional. We feel anger and sadness and fear. But we also feel love and joy and hope. We feel compassion for strangers. We feel the desire to help people we have never met. That is why we run toward danger instead of away from it. That is why a human like me would help an alien like, even though we barely knew each other." He took another step forward and actually took a step back. It was small, probably unconscious, but noticed. "You look at humanity and see weakness," he said, "but you are only seeing the surface. Underneath, we are the most stubborn, determined, compassionate species in this galaxy. We have faced extinction a dozen times and survived. We have made mistakes and learned from them. We have hurt each other and then found ways to heal." Glanced at, who was watching him with glowing eyes and a soft smile. "We are not perfect," he concluded, "but we are trying. Every day we are trying to be better. And if that is not enough for the Council, then maybe the problem is not with humanity. Maybe the problem is with a galaxy that has forgotten what it means to take chances on each other." The apartment was silent, stood frozen, her icy expression cracked for the first time since she arrived. Could not tell what she was thinking, but he knew he had said what needed to be said. Stepped forward and stood beside. She took his hand, not hiding the gesture from the counselor. "My report will reflect the truth," she said firmly. "Humans are not a threat. They are an opportunity for the galaxy to learn what it has forgotten, that differences do not have to mean conflict, that understanding is possible, even between species who seem completely different." Stared at them for a long moment. Then, very slowly, something shifted in her expression. The ice did not melt completely, but there was a crack in it, a hint of something that might have been doubt. "You speak with passion," she said too. "That is unexpected." "We are full of surprises," replied. Was quiet for several heartbeats. Then she turned to. "Your report will be submitted as is," she said. "The Council will review it. I cannot guarantee how they will respond, but—" She paused as if the next words were difficult. "I will include my own observations, and I will note that what I have seen here today was not what I expected. It was not approval, it was not acceptance, but it was something." Walked to the door, then stopped and looked back at them. "The galaxy has been afraid of humans for 50 years, she said quietly. "Perhaps it is time we examined why. Perhaps—" She did not finish the sentence. Instead, she simply nodded once and left. The door closed behind her, and the apartment was silent. Let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. His knees felt weak, and his heart was pounding. He had just confronted one of the most powerful aliens in the galaxy. He had defended all of humanity with nothing but words and conviction. And somehow it had worked. Turned to him, her eyes bright with emotion. "That was amazing," she breathed. "You were amazing." "I was terrified," admitted. "So was I, but you did not show it. You stood there and told her the truth. You made her listen." Shook his head slowly. I do not know if I changed her mind. You made her think, said. For someone like that is a miracle. She stepped closer and took both of his hands in hers. Her skin was warm and glowing with soft pink and gold colors that had never seen before. Thank you, she said. Not just for what you said today, for everything, for helping me when I needed it most, for showing me what humans are really like, for being you. Looked at her, this alien woman who had become his friend, his family, something more. He still did not have words for what they were to each other, but he knew it was important. He knew it was real. I did not do it alone, he said. You are the brave one. You stood up to your own people and told them the truth. That takes more courage than anything I did. Smiled, that warm, genuine smile that transformed her whole face. Maybe we are brave together. I like that, brave together. They stood there in the quiet apartment, hands joined, looking at each other. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Somewhere out in the galaxy was probably writing a report that would be read by powerful beings on distant worlds. And on Earth, in a small apartment in an integration housing complex, a human and an alien had found something precious, something that crossed the boundaries of species and culture and fear. They had found each other. Leaned forward and pressed her forehead against, just as she had done on the night of her shedding. But this time it meant something different, something deeper. I think I love you, she whispered. Is that strange? His heart swelled. Not strange at all. I think I love you too. They stayed like that for a long time, foreheads touching, hands joined, hearts beating together. The stars began to appear in the darkening sky, tiny points of light representing a galaxy that still had much to learn. But maybe, just maybe, things were beginning to change. Months later, received a message from the High Council. Her report had been reviewed and discussed at the highest levels, and for the first time in 50 years, humanity's classification had been changed. New designation, potential allies, priority contact. It was not complete acceptance. There was still a long road ahead, years of diplomacy and misunderstanding and difficult conversations, but it was a start. And it had all begun with an accident, a bathroom door that should have been knocked on, a vulnerable moment that became a bridge between worlds. Kept the message saved on his data pad. Whenever he looked at it, he smiled. He had walked into his apartment expecting an ordinary evening. Instead, he had found something extraordinary. A friend, a family, a love that spanned the stars. And a reminder that sometimes, the smallest moments can change everything. In their small apartment on Earth and sat by the window, watching the stars together. His arm was around her shoulders, and her skin glowed with soft, happy colors. The galaxy is out there, murmured. Millions of species, billions of possibilities. And we are here, replied, together. Smiled and pressed closer to him. That is all that matters. Outside, the stars shone on, eternal witnesses to a story that was just beginning. A story of a human and an alien who had found each other against all odds. A story of how one small act of kindness could change the universe.